Welcome back to another edition of Real Review, where we review movies with our honest and straightforward opinions. And this week we have not so big blockbuster Solo: A Star Wars Story, which came out on Friday, and I saw it on Sunday, and I've given it a few days to think about it before I give my final verdict, and I've come to that after now 4 days of thinking about it. And it's a bad movie. Solo is a bad movie. I went into it with low expectations and I came out of it with actually liking it more than I expected, which surprised me. Because I heard that the actor was getting acting coaching, the actor playing Han Solo, and that they switched directors, after these other two guys that did the Lego movie. They did a whole movie, then they scrapped it because it was too silly and goofy and went with Ron Howard, who I'm not a big fan of. And we got what we got, a rushed, it shows, the final product shows, it's a rushed product. It's built, the whole movie feels like it's manufactured by a factory. It doesn't have any magic, doesn't have any emotion, doesn't have any feels. It's just very bland, boring, and unoriginal. I was pretty disappointed, but like I said, I expected actually worse. So I was a little bit surprised, but the movie, it starts out just so like the beginning is so out of tone, out of pace. It's super fast, super. You're thrown right into the action, which is fine, but it just doesn't work here because the rest of the movie kind of takes a different tone. It's very blue, and you can't really see what's happening. It's kind of poor lighting in my view, and there's this weird caterpillar lady that talks to Han Solo, and it's just really, it felt so out of place, the whole opening of the film. And speaking of Han Solo, Aaron Eichenwald, or how you pronounce his name, I really don't care because I don't care about him because he's not a good Han Solo. He tried, you can tell he's trying, but it's very forced dialogue. It doesn't come off well, and to be honest with you, nobody's going to replace Harrison Ford. I think that's the biggest sin of this movie is it's trying to recreate magic. It's trying to recreate that original trilogy, Harrison Ford, Han Solo, and whatnot. And it fails so badly because it's not coming from the mind of the creator, and it's just not, it just doesn't feel like there's effort put into this movie, which I find depressing. And the dialogue, like I said, it's very bad, very unoriginal, very trite, and just kind of really stupid at times. Like, there's like this really, uh, annoying droid called L3, who it's like, I don't want to mischaracterize it as like a social justice warrior droid, but it kind of is. So it could be a mockery of it, which I doubt. But it's just got this like stupid dialogue of like, yay, equal rights, as it's like fighting. It's like, I'm rolling my eyes, like it's just so annoying and stupid. It's like there just feels like no effort was put into the dialogue. Nothing creative, nothing interesting. It's just very like in your face. Okay, this is what we have to say here to go here to do this. Give you exposition. It's just not interesting. And of course, this movie's about Han Solo, so you expect some humor, some sort of snarky lines and whatnot, and the humor doesn't land. I mean, even the theater I was in was not laughing, which kind of, tells you a lot there. When your entire theater is laughing, it's pretty bad. And there were a few moments of chuckles from people. Um, and I had one laugh, and it was at the freaking end of the movie when Han Solo's making a bluff by saying, like, oh, the ship, the Millennium Falcon down there's it's got thousands of soldiers on it, they'll blow you to smithereens. And then Lando just flies away the ship, which was pretty funny. But it was, because I predicted something to happen, but I didn't know what. And that was pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie, but that was the only time I laughed in the movie. And the only good character I saw in the movie, like, is this guy, like, alien guy that has like four arms. He kind of reminds me of like Rocket from Guardians of the Galaxy, and he dies in like the first freaking heist. Like, that was the only good character, and he dies like boom, right away, gone. So it's like I was the only character I was interested in, and he just dies, and it's not fun at all. For that matter, because the whole story of this movie sucks. The story's bad. It's literally just heist after heist after heist after heist with some sort of continuity, to it because Hans gotta race against time to deliver this stuff to this crime boss so that he can get money and go back for his girl. It's not really original. It's not very interesting. It has no emotion to it. And to be honest, it's boring. That's what shocked me for such a fast-paced movie. It's boring. The first, bit I'm kind of interested because I'm trying to get grips with the film, figure out what's going on. But there's this part once you get kind of to the end of the first into the second act. I literally tuned out of the movie and started thinking of better movies. I was just like, it was just like I totally tuned out from it. And it started getting a little more interesting when they got to this, the Kessel Run part, which is kind of interesting and all that. That's when I started tuning in again. And the third act is actually the best part, the most interesting part, and it's the third freaking act. It's the end of the movie. This is when all the double crossing and the backstabbing happens, when that should be happening during the whole freaking movie. Because, you're supposed to have that stuff to keep your audience interested. And it all happens at the end, which it kind of works, but it's all very, very, very predictable. Like, I knew what was going to happen here, and I already kind of screwed this review because this is a spoiler-free section. I'll get into spoilers after this, but in the spoiler-free section, I'm trying to speak vaguely about these things, but it's just like, oh god, like, I can't believe, I was shocked how it was boring. Like, Last Jedi wasn't boring. Like, for a movie I hated. I love Star Wars. I'm a big Star Wars fan. I love episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Great films. Masterful storytelling. But this is the first time in a Star Wars movie I was actually bored. Like, this movie, it's not bad, but it's not Last Jedi, but it's not good. Like, it's a weird thing to play. It's like, it's okay, but it's not Last Jedi. It's just okay. It's like, okay, things happen, but, the more I think about it, that's what my impression coming out was that it was okay, but the more I think about it, the more I dislike it. There's more things I think they're bad about, but the one good thing was actually, I think, Lando. Lando was the best part. Donald Glover, who I haven't seen much of him, don't like his music, he's a terrible musician. Uh, he did a good job acting, I have to say. He was very charismatic, very, quippy and, playful. He felt like Lando. He felt like he was trying to imitate Lando, which is good. I actually think that worked. And I get that the actor wants to put their own spin on it, which he kind of does, because it doesn't fully feel like Lando, so it works. But I'm kind of against the idea of other actors playing characters, unless the original actor like dies, midway shooting or something. Then yes, replace him. I understand that. But like when you go back, and try to do these stories with different actors, it just doesn't work because you associate in your brain Harrison Ford is Han Solo. There's no other person that can play that character, and it just works. The music throughout the movie didn't notice it at all. The only time I noticed it was when there was the recycled themes from the great John Williams score, the original trilogy, bringing back that nostalgia. Like when they're in the Kessel Run, it kind of ticked me off because like when they're in that Kessel Run and you see an asteroid and it starts playing the asteroid music from Empire Strikes Back. It's like, oh, come on. Like, I know what you're trying to do here with these Easter eggs. It's so in your face. Like, they're not even trying to be subtle about it. It's like, come on, and it's just so, trying to be. So that's what this film is. It's trying to be something it isn't and it can't be at the same time. It's trying to be a Star Wars. Well, it's not even. It kind of is trying to be a Star Wars, movie, but at the same time, it just isn't one. It's really, really, really strange film in many ways. There's no character development in it. The only character development there is this one girl, and I'll get to it in the spoiler section. But she just kind of flips on a dime, and it's kind of stupid. But no character development. There was a cameo in this movie that some people like, some people don't like. Some people don't even get the cameo. I didn't like it, but I'll explain why in the spoiler section. And like I said, all the references are very forced. They're littered throughout the movie. not as much as I expected, but there were enough of them that pissed me off, and it took me out of the film. So it's a very predictable movie, very boring movie, very forgettable movie, and overall just very uninteresting. But that's spoiler free. We're now going to go into spoilers here. So, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. This is spoilers. You've been warned 50,000 times, so don't blame me when you hear something that you didn't want to know about. But the truth of the matter is, there's not many spoilers to talk about. Because, like I said, all the spoilery stuff happens in the third act. There's that train heist in the first heist in the game where, and actually I'll backtrack, but there's a part where Han Solo meets Chewie, which is kind of a cool moment, where he's like thrown to a prison. There's a monster in there, and I knew right away it was going to be Chewie, and it is, and they bond. But he starts speaking in Wookiee, and I'm like, when has Han Solo ever done that? It's kind of weird. It changes the rules a bit, and maybe it could work, but it just didn't. And then, of course, Han Solo goes into this, like, because he signs up to be a pilot of the Empire, and he realizes war isn't for him, and that he wants to think for himself, which is true of his character and all that, but it's very obviously, like, put in, to you. Like, they kind of spoon feed you these, quote-unquote themes that this movie thinks it has. And that happens, and then, of course, he, starts running off on these heists with Woody Harrelson, because he finds out about who he really is, and whatnot. And Woody Harrelson's character turns at the end, double cross him, which was kind of obvious. When they start setting up that there is a double cross and it's him, it's like, oh, imagine my shock. And then, of course, there's not much else like in the middle. I'm trying to think of stuff in the middle, but not much really substantive happens except the Kessel Run, which is cool, but it's not. It just doesn't. None of this feels important. It all feels very pointless. It's like we're setting all this stuff so these characters can be in one place at the end. And the bad guy in it, I don't even know his name. He was only in it for a little bit. Doesn't do much. It was kind of okay. And he has this girl, Kira, that's Han Solo's girlfriend, which I have no chemistry between the two. Didn't work at all. Felt no emotion. He's trying to go back and save her, and he just Deus Ex Machina bumps into her, some crazy coincidence, in this, like, party ship. And then they go out. From there, he finds out, what she's doing or what he thinks she's doing. And they keep alluding, well, you really don't know what she's been doing. And that's the thing about this movie. It's so in your face. Like, there's nothing that's clever about this movie. There's nothing that's like, oh, maybe it's this. Like, they literally tell you, yeah, she's probably been doing some bad crap in the meantime. And that's what happened. That's, oh, she turns out she was actually not really that good. And you find out in the end, this was the one moment the movie surprised me, was when there's a cameo. And she, she tells, like, Han Solo, like, oh, go off and, do your thing. Like, I'm going to wait back here. I'll be right behind you. And she, turns down the blind, turns on the hologram, and up, I hear this voice speaking. I immediately recognize, I'm like, is that Sam Witwer, the guy who voiced Darth Maul? Is this Darth Maul? And it turns around, it's Darth Maul on a hologram, and so she's, like, working for Darth Maul for whatever reason. And that cameo is so forced, just like all the other little Easter eggs and references and blah blah blah. Like the asteroid music when they get on the Millennium Falcon and they turn on the freaking chessboard, which we've already seen that done in Force Awakens. Like, why do we need that Easter egg again? I mean, can we think of at least a different Easter egg to show? Like, oh, that one pissed me off because they show the same, like, moves happening too, and Chewie getting angry. It's like, oh, come on! Like, it's obvious, like, spoon-fed stuff, Easter eggs to make you happy and make you smile at the film. It's just so cheap and unoriginal and uninteresting. But that happens, and the Darth Maul cameo, most people in the theater were freaking confused by that because they hadn't seen the Clone Wars TV series to know that Darth Maul actually survives, which is really cool in that show. I love that show, Star Wars Clone Wars, because it was really interesting how they developed characters and build in these other worlds, and you see other things. Such a cool show that expands the Star Wars universe. Really cool. But Darth Maul's arc in that show is awesome. I mean, that was my favorite part of the Darth Maul episodes. Like, those are freaking awesome. But if you don't know that, you don't understand that cameo. I understood the cameo, but I didn't like it still. And I'm a huge Darth Maul fan. I love the guy. It's freaking badass. I loved him since I first saw him in Phantom Menace. He's awesome. But this cameo is so forced and stupid. He just is there and he just like turns on his lightsaber and starts looking at it. Like, when have you ever seen that in a Star Wars movie where they're just like talking to something, they just like turn on their lightsaber? Like, it just, oh, it just doesn't work. Like, oh, it was so frustrating. That's what this movie is. It's really depressing and kind. You know, Last Jedi was frustrating and I hated that movie, but at least Last Jedi, like, turned down the freaking Easter eggs. Like, I don't even remember, I mean, there was some obvious stuff, but, like, this one had, like, all this crap just in your face, and there's just, it's so boring and uninteresting. Like, I know I'm trying to, the spoiler section's not going to be very long here, because there's nothing to spoil in this movie. You know what happens to Han Solo in the end. He teams up with Chewie, and they start, having adventures, and they eventually find Luke, and the rest is Star Wars. But they did a movie nobody asked for, gave you a story nobody really cares about, for a character we all care about and love. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. The one positive thing I would say is happening for the franchise is that the Logan director is going to direct a Boba Fett standalone film. That could be very awesome. I have to say, that could be very cool. Because I really like Logan. It's a standalone superhero film that's mature. It's R-rated, a little too bloody maybe at times for my taste, but it was a mature film that knew what it was, did its thing, has a standalone story that I can understand. It was interesting, unique, and just well done. Well done film. If he can bring that sort of rough, gritty darkness that he had in Logan to Boba Fett, that would be perfect. You don't have to make it R-rated, but make it mature and dark, and maybe kind of neo-noir, kind of Blade Runner-y, where you're in this underworld, like kind of like that canceled Star Wars 1313 game. Like, do something like that. That'd be cool. That'd be really cool. It'd be risky, and Disney's probably not going to greenlight that, but they're giving him the reins on that, and that could be awesome. That could be the one good, post George Lucas Star Wars movie, because I didn't like The Force Awakens. It was unoriginal. It was a carbon copy. It was just a copy of New Hope. Um, it was very, it was a retro movie, as George Lucas put. Uh, Last Jedi, I actually agree with a lot of fans on this one. It's a piece of crap. It's a poorly made film. They screw up just basic filmmaking and storytelling. Stupid things happen, and they change the rules of the universe. Didn't like that film. Rogue One, I actually like Rogue One. It's as pointless as a film it is. It actually had more emotional impact than any of these other new Star Wars films. It's actually well done, interesting, mature, and Donnie Yen's awesome in it for the little bit he is. There's some stuff that doesn't make sense in that movie, like how some of the characters type, but it's actually a good movie. And now this Solo film was just bad. It's bad. Like, I thought it was okay when I came out of it, but it's just bad now. Like I said, last thing I forgot to mention is there is no character development. Kira, like I said, turns at the end, and that's the only character development, and it just happens like that. There's nothing that kind of pushes that forward. Han Solo doesn't develop. There's like a Han shoots first thing at the end, which I didn't even notice. That's what the point of that scene was, where he shoots Woody Harrelson. It was obviously what he was gonna do. Like I said, the movie's very predictable, and that's what he does do, which makes sense. But it's like, okay, is that the lesson here, that he learned to shoot first, to act on instinct, which he kind of always does? Like, just didn't work. And again, the guy that plays Han Solo doesn't work either. He's just, it seems very forced, and it wasn't funny, wasn't interesting, it wasn't Han Solo. But it's a bad film. Don't go see it. I actually encourage you to start boycotting Star Wars. After episode 9, right? Or after the Boba Fett film, I'm probably gonna start boycotting it because this needs to end. Disney is sucking creativity and originality out of this beloved, original, fun franchise. I know it's not crazy original, but it is original. What is it's original? Not anymore. Now it's a cash cow that they're milking the crap out of. And they're gonna milk it till people stop going. So what do you have to do? Stop going. For the sake of it. I mean, I love George Lucas, great visionary, great storyteller. Biggest mistake he made was selling Star Wars to Disney. And it's turning into what I expect it to be, which is just cookie cutter, factory made products. It's not art, it's just a product now. And the disappointing box office figures of Solo Star Wars Story, which is a crappy title by the way, terrible marketing, uh, is it's a good thing. I think it could give them a little pushback, but I think that was mostly because of when they released it. But this has been a real view of Solo Star Wars Story. We will have more in the future, hopefully more positive ones. I love movies, and I love talking about movies. So I want to love these movies, but unfortunately I didn't. So hopefully Star Wars gets better. Hopefully the Boba Fett film is awesome with the Logan director, and hopefully we boycott Star Wars after that.